Alright guys, today we are doing complex conjugates number 2. Okay, so let's compare this to radicals because I is the same thing as the square root of -1, which is a radical. So if I had a problem that said 3 over 5 minus root 3. Okay, so if I had this problem, I cannot leave this. So this is not simplified, and the reason is because you have a radical in your denominator, and you can't leave these there, okay? They do not belong downstairs. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of it. Now, here's the thing. If I just multiply, here, I'll use a different pen. If I multiply the top and the bottom by my radical, the top is fine because then you would have 3 root 3. But on the bottom, I would have 5 root 3 and then minus 3 because the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3. So then again, here I have a radical in my denominator. So then I would rationalize by multiplying by root 3 and root 3. And then on the top, now I have 3 times 3. And then on the bottom, I distribute, so I'd have 5 times 3, and then I would have -3 root 3. So if you notice, I'm just passing back and forth this radical if I only multiply by a radical. So if I multiply by a radical first time, then I give it to my 5, then I multiply the radical on the second time, and then my 5 is good, but then I give it back to my 3. So this is not going anywhere. So this is not what we would like to do. Instead, we multiply by the opposite of the bottom. So we would multiply, I'm just going to do it out in front since I took up this space. We would multiply by 5 minus, oh, it is minus, so the opposite, 5 plus root 3 over 5 plus root 3. Again, we are multiplying by 1. We're not changing the value of this fraction, we're changing the way it looks. So here, I have to multiply by the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom, so 1. So here I distribute, so 5 times 3 is 15, and then root 3 times 3 is 3 root 3. And then on the bottom, we have 5 times 5, which is 25. 5 times negative root 3, which is -5 root 3. Then we have root 3 times 5, which is positive 5 root 3. And root 3 times negative root 3 is -3, because root times root, the same number, is that number. Now, if you notice here, these middle guys, they make 0. Because I have a -5 root 3 and a positive 5 root 3. So these are actually gone. And then all I really have is, on the top, I have 15 plus 3 root 3. And then on the bottom, I have 25 minus 3, so 22. And this is how you rationalize with radicals. Well, it's the same thing with I, okay? We can't just multiply by I because then we have this situation happening where the I is going to get passed back and forth from one number to the next. And that's not going to help us rationalize. So instead, we multiply by the opposite. So for example, number 2, we're already over here, so we multiply by the opposite of the middle number. Okay, so we have -8 plus 7i over -8 plus 7i. On the top, we need to distribute the 3 to both the -8 and the 7i. So that's -24 and 21i. Then on the bottom, notice what happened up here. What happened up here was the radicals and the middle numbers ended up canceling out. And really, I have 5 times 5 is 25, and root 3 times negative root 3 is -3. So that's the shortcut, is if you multiply the first terms and the last terms, if the middle sign is opposite, then you don't need to multiply the middle numbers because they're going to cancel out. So we're going to multiply -8 times -8 and get 64. And then -7i times 7i, so -7 times 7 is -49, and I times I is -1. Okay, then we have to simplify because we can simplify. So that gives us, we've got -24 plus 21i all over 64. Oops, my answer key is wrong. Sorry. 64 plus 49, and 64 and 49 is 113. So that gives me negative 24 plus 21i over 113. Now I'm going to prove to you that this is the correct answer, and I'm going to just expand this part so that you can see it. So if I multiplied negative 8 minus 7i times negative 8 plus 7i. Okay, so I would have negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. Negative 8 times 7i is negative 56i. Negative 7 times negative 8, or negative 7i, is positive 56i. And negative 7 times 7 is negative 49. I times I is negative 1. So in the middle here, I have negative 56i plus 56i, which makes 0. So really, I just have 64 plus 49, which is 113. So that is the shortcut. You multiply the first term and the last terms, and then make sure you distribute on the top if what you multiply has the opposite. So let's do another one. Let's look at number 6. So on number 6, we're going to multiply by the opposite on the bottom. So we have 2 plus 5i on top of 2 plus 5i. It has to be the same on the top and the bottom. On the top, I need to distribute my 7i to both my 2 and my 5i. 7 times 2 is 14i, and 7 times 5i is 35i squared, which is negative 1. On the bottom, I'm going to multiply my first terms. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25, and I times I is negative 1. Then we can simplify. On the top, we've got negative 35 plus 14i. Notice that I rewrote it, so it was my real piece and then my imaginary. And then on the bottom, I really have 4 plus 25, which is 29. I don't have any greatest common factors between 35, 14, and 29, so we are all done. So let's try another one. Oh, number 10 is a good one. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have one term on the top or 2 terms, you just have to distribute. So I'm going to multiply by the opposite on the bottom with both the top and the bottom because we're multiplying by 1. So we have to distribute the negative 8 to the 10 and the negative 2i. So negative 8 times 10 is negative 80, and negative 8 times negative 2i is 16i. Then we have to distribute this 3i to the 10 and the negative 2i. So 3i times 10 is 30i, and 3i times negative 2i is negative 6i squared, which is negative 1. On the bottom, we're going to multiply the first terms. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and then negative 1 times negative 1 is, I times I is negative 1. Sorry. Silly. Okay, on the top, our like terms, we have 30 and 16. Okay, that's one of our like terms. So that gives us, well, I'll write it over here. So that gives us 46i. And then the other like term that we have, oh, let's get green, is this 80, negative 80, and this positive 6, because negative 6 times negative 1 is positive. So I'm going to combine negative 80 plus 6, and I'm going to put that guy in front. So that means that we have negative 74, 46i is positive, and then I have 100 plus 4, so that would be 104. Okay, let's see if there is a common factor that we have here. Oh man, messed up again on my answer key. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's see. So we've got 74 100ths. Oh no, 104, sorry. So it does reduce, and let's see if we can reduce 46 104, and that reduces too. Okay, well they're all even, so let's start with taking a 2 out. So we'll take a 2 out of this guy. So 74 divided by 2 is negative 37. And 46 divided by 2 is 23i. And then on the bottom, I'm going to take a 2 out of 104. So I have 52. So my 2's come out. And these guys don't have any like terms or greatest common factors. So my answer is negative 37 plus 23i all over 52. So don't forget to reduce, because if you don't reduce, it is wrong. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. Let's do 13, and then that will be my last example. Okay, so again, we're multiplying by the opposite of the bottom, and it's just the opposite of the second term, so in between those two terms, not the first term. Okay, so on the top, we're going to distribute. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. Negative 7 times negative 4i is positive 28i. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12i. And negative 4 times negative 4i is positive 16 times negative 1. Underneath that, we have negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9. Positive 4 times negative 4 is negative 16 times negative 1. Okay, so now we're going to combine our like terms. On the top, our like terms are 21 and negative 16, and we have 28 and 12 i's. So 21 minus 16 is 5, so we have 5, and then 28 plus 12 is 40i. And then 9 plus 16 is 25. If you notice, all of these numbers end in 5 or 0, so we're going to be able to reduce. So we're going to take a 5 out of the top. So if I take a 5 out of 5, I have 1 left. You have to put that there. If I take a 5 out of 40, I have 8 left. On the bottom, I'm going to take 5 out of 25, and I have 5 left. Again, you must leave this 1 there. My 5's cancel because 5 divided by 5 is 1. So my answer is 1 plus 8i over 5. All right, guys. Hope you had a great time. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye.